The trade deadline is over. We are in the home stretch. Are there teams that are doing good after the trade deadline? Uh-huh. Are there teams doing bad after the trade deadline? Also, yes. We gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about it. I'm gonna talk about it. You're gonna talk about it with me because it is another WeCake'n Netcast tonight. It's another WeCake'n Netcast tonight. It's another WeCake'n Netcast tonight. And of course, I am WeCake'n. I am your host, of course. We're gonna talk some hockey tonight. We sure are going to talk some hockey tonight. Like I said in the intro, trade deadline is over. Now, whatever you have is whatever you have. And every single team is sprinting to the end. Are some teams going to make the playoffs? Obviously. Are there going to be heartbreaks? Of course, there's going to be heartbreaks. If you're a team that is close to losing on this bubble, if you are a team that just can't figure it out, and maybe you expended some assets to see if you can get there, the playoff push is extremely exciting this time around. Before we get into all of that, I want to thank every single one of you. Just hit myself in the face. I want to thank every single one of you for clicking on this netcast this evening. I am WeCake'n. I am your favorite hockey personality. And tonight we're going to have a few topics that we're going to touch over. Anze Kopitar, his emotional franchise-defining milestone, even though the Los Angeles Kings are they're struggling. They're struggling. It's not going well in Los Angeles right now. If you're a part of the Dallas Stars, they're tying a 27-year-old franchise record, a point streak record, but they're also doing whatever they can to close in on the Colorado Avalanche's top spot. Now, the West might seem like everything going on in the West is already solved. There are some teams that are just so high above everybody else, like we're talking about the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche in the Central Division. Of course, the Minnesota Wild is right beneath them. That Central Division, if the team that wins the Stanley Cup isn't from the Central Division this season, I don't know what's going on. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way that what is it, the Pacific Division? I mean, yeah, you got Connor McDavid, but dude, he also has Tristan Jarry on his team, and Tristan Jarry and Connor McDavid it's Pacific Division. I would be very, very surprised. I could see the Oilers possibly going to a wild card spot. I could definitely see the Oilers going to a wild card spot. Tristan Jarry has been blown open. Apparently, as of this weekend, and this is a little side tangent before we actually get more into our cast, is that Tristan Jarry has just been moved to the backup goaltender. Tristan Jarry is getting paid $5 million a season, was the Pittsburgh Penguins' go-to goaltender. Now, he was traded right before the trade deadline for Stuart Skinner, the goaltender that helped the Edmonton Oilers get to back-to-back Stanley Cup championships. Now, Stuart Skinner and the rest of the team lost those back-to-back Stanley Cup championships to the Florida Panthers. And of course, with a team like that, when you lose in that fashion, it's very often. And honestly, I don't even think it's just the goalie or the team. I think it's the goalie. I like to think back to the back. I like to think to the back-to-back championship winners of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Matt Murray looked unbeatable during those two cup runs. Then after the analysts figured out like, hey, why don't you shoot at his glove? And then they ended up figuring out that Murray doesn't move his left hand; it just kind of stays here. He doesn't really have this motion. Doesn't exist with Murray. So teams figured out that Matt Murray and the Pittsburgh Penguins, they figured out how to beat him. Now you look at every other goalie that's won a Stanley Cup championship. I mean, I think about Robin Leonard did Robin Leonard win it or was it Aiden? I think it was Aiden Hill. Aiden Hill won the Stanley Cup, and it was Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill, I want to say, that won the Stanley Cup for the Vegas Golden Knights. And they're not doing so great anymore. You look at Braden Holtby that won the Stanley Cup championship with the Washington Capitals. He's not in the league anymore. You look at Philip Grubauer, who helped, I think it was the Colorado Avalanche win their Stanley Cup championship. I don't know if he's still in the league. You have Jordan Binnington, whose team feels like they're ready to turn on him at a moment's notice. There's a lot of players, a lot of goaltenders that come from, Andre Vasilevsky, and I would say that Sergei Bobrovsky are some of the few goaltenders of teams that have won the Stanley Cup championship. The teams kept them. It just feels like a lot of other teams, once you win that Stanley Cup, that goalie either Darcy Kemper won it with the Colorado Avalanche, and he got traded. And I can't really tell between Sergei Bobrovsky and Andre Vasilevsky how many other goaltenders that have won the cup in the last decade, all the way back to 2016. How many of those goaltenders that have won that cup are either A, still with that team, or B, still in the league and playing the primary goaltender role, not the backup, but the primary goaltender role. I would urge you to think about that, because I would think there might not be as many as you think. Now, I also think it's important this evening to talk about rookies. Of course, you got Celebrini, you got Demidov, you got a couple other young gun players that I would still say that still have a lot of potential to be the defining characteristic or the defining playmaker that could put their teams over that hurdle, that could propel their teams into true Stanley Cup contention. Now there's competitors, but then you actually have those teams that are like, these are your favorites. So this team can actually win. There's a difference between being able to compete for a cup versus being like, all right, we can see that team actually having a chance. And finally, we'll get into a couple of milestones like Kucherov's 1,100 points and possibly some of the other trades that have happened already. And I want to get into some of those trades that have happened already and just dissect how they've impacted their teams. Now, let's start with Anze Kopitar. Anze Kopitar, of course, he is the LA Kings captain. Anze Kopitar announced at the beginning of this season that he is going to retire. Anze Kopitar is one of those players that has only worn one jersey, one sweater. He's only felt one crest, Los Angeles Kings. And in my opinion, that's a beautiful thing to watch. If you can get a player that can stick around on that team, on that franchise, and not just stick around with them, not just be a third line or a fourth line grinder that really is just, hey guys, I'm a part of the team. And you're like, yeah, you are. But also we pay you league minimum and you're paid to just skate at people and bother people where I score. You bother people. You're meant to annoy people. And that's why you get paid this league minimum, is because you kind of are meant to kamikaze blitzkrieg into these guys and bonsai. And then if anything happens, then you're just like, call the next guy up mentality from the AHL. Hey, we're going to pay you this money. Skate at these guys and skate at them hard. Make them make mistakes. That's pretty much what you're paid to do. Hey, make this guy make mistakes. That's what we want you to do. Make the other team make mistakes. So Kopitar, sounds like he scored twice in the power play. Now, it was a 6-4 loss to the Devils on March 14th, which was a few days ago. Now, why is this so exciting? WeCake'n, he lost the game. Why are you talking to us about this loss? Well, this loss was actually pretty exciting because Anze Kopitar ended up getting to 1,308 points, which equates to 450 goals and 858 assists. Why is that so impressive? And it did is because it surpassed Marcel Dion's 1,307 points, and now Kopitar stands as the leading player of the Kings. He is the king. He is now, through all of the different players that have worn that Kings sweater, Anze Kopitar is now going to be remembered as the all-time best king. Not to mention, Anze Kopitar was a part of the team. I want to say he was the captain of the team that brought the LA Kings those Stanley Cups in 2012, 2014, wasn't it, right? That was Anze Kopitar. He brought that city their Stanley Cups. Pretty beautiful thing. Now, it sounds like he tied that record early in the second period with the power play. And then he broke it in the third with another power play goal that tied the game, which put it to 4-4. However, even though in defeat, the team still had something to be proud of. And this would be a really odd thing if you're a part of the LA Kings right now. You just picked up Artemi Panarin, even though because Kevin Fiala got injured in the Olympics, which is a whole nother conversation of, man, how much Olympics are we going to keep doing? Because Crosby got injured in the Olympics too. Obviously, it's every 4 years, so you're not going to do too much Olympics. But how many injuries does it take for a team or a coach to be like, yeah, we're not gonna possibly give up on our entire season, or we're not gonna put our season into jeopardy just to get an extra medal. Now, don't get me wrong, the Olympics are extremely prestigious, and 100% you want to play in the Olympics, you want to play for your team, you want to represent your country. 100%. 100%. However, while doing that, you also might jeopardize your actual job. Because the Olympics is just, they saw how well you did in the National Hockey League, and they're like, all right, we're going to hire you. You're not playing in the National Hockey League. The chances are that you're not going to get noticed to play in the Olympics. So Dion, the Hall of Famer, it sounds like he already praised Kopitar and he already congratulated him. He's like, Kopitar, you are one of the greatest. That's what I put down in my notes. And he was also telling him that the record, it's in good hands. So Dion, he's so proud of Kopitar. And that's one of the things that I like about hockey. It feels like it's a brotherhood. It feels like it's a bunch of guys that just are happy that other people love the sport as much as them. And they're happy to see other people continue to propel the sport to where it should be and to give it more and more attention. So when it comes to hockey, it's only going to get more exciting. It's only going to get more important. It's only going to get more attention. And especially the way that these players are interacting with one another, especially when you look at Hall of Famer alumni like Dion. I love to see this stuff. Like this is a beautiful thing to see. Now, of course, like I said earlier, Kopitar, this is his last season. So every time Kopitar goes to another stadium, for the most part, he shakes their hands when it's his last time playing in that stadium. He's come to terms with it. He's like, hey, I was a great hockey player. Great hockey player. However, these seasons get long. Going to training camp is a lot. Having a certain diet is a lot. Going on those flights is a lot. And after you've done it for 20 years, I hate to say it, might want to be with your family. Well, I don't hate to say, you know what I mean? You hate to see that he had to sacrifice so much. All these hockey players have to sacrifice a lot to play the game they love. Yeah, they might win a Stanley Cup. They might get a ring. They might not see their son's first hockey game. They might not see their daughter's dance recital. They might not be a part of certain important family moments because they're working and they're traveling salesmen, right? They travel for their company. Now, this milestone also helped the Kings vault or springboard a little bit more into the final Western wildcard spot. So they're around 69 points right now. So they just leapfrogged Seattle and San Jose. So the Kings want to do everything that they possibly can for Anze Kopitar's last season, and I want to see it. He's such a great player. You want to see a send-off for a guy like Kopitar, and the way the Kings are doing it, and the way that Kopitar is doing it, you can just see how many players respect Kopitar. They shake his hand at the end of the hockey game. They don't want to slam into him as much. You could just tell that there's a lot of respect for Kopitar. I think management also noticed that with Fiala being out, they're like, dude, we got to figure something out. We got to do something in order to spark plug this team. We got to make sure our team doesn't give up. We got to make sure that the talent that we have can actually accomplish stuff, right? So they're like, you know what we're going to do? Kopitar, it's your last season. We're going to spend racks. We're going to go out and get Panarin. We're going to get Panarin. We're going to bring Panarin here. We're going to pay Panarin racks. We're going to pay Panarin racks. And we're going to say, Panarin, please score. Please bring us to the playoffs. Please use your talent. And we'll see what happens. It's possible Panarin could get them into the playoffs. However, if they do make it in the playoffs, it's still very, very possible that they could play the Oilers first round. And every time the Kings play the Oilers, they lose. They've gone 0-4. They lost. I think they played against the Oilers the last 4 years or something like that, and they've lost every single round. Every single round they've lost. And that's a rough thing to consider with a team like that. A lot of aging stars, they did the retool route. They didn't do the rebuild route. And some of these teams feel like it cost them too much money to do the rebuild. And even the rebuild, you're not guaranteed stuff. I think rebuilding teams just need to be more patient with bad contracts. I personally feel that rebuilding teams can buy bad contracts from mid teams or good teams or amazing teams, and they'll say, yeah, we'll take this player. Maybe, yeah, we'll take this bad contract. How about you give us a draft pick, a first round pick in 4 years? 4 years, we'll take that pick. Or 3 years, or maybe a prospect, right? And the other thing too, you got to think about, and it doesn't happen as much. And I would really like to see more flips. For example, think of Los Angeles Kings that we're talking about right now. Say they picked up Panarin, and then they get Panarin, and then they instantly flip him to Edmonton, or they instantly flip him back to like Florida Panthers or something, or the Lightning, and they're like, you know what? Here you go. Here you go. I think that would be pretty sweet. I'd really like to see something like that happen more, to where a team kind of gets duped and they make this trade like, all right, yeah, we got rid of this player. He's now on the other conference. And then the team in the other conference is like, yep, and we want that other asset. So we're going to flip them back to your conference, to what your biggest competitor. And now we got more resources. I want to see teams spit in other teams' faces like that. I think that would be funny to watch personally. We want to see the Kings get one last run. We'll see what happens, everybody. I would like to see it. I think a lot of hockey fans would like to see it, but who knows where we'll go from there. Now, this next one, I made a lot of smaller notes for, so I might be reading a little bit more than being hyped for this one. The Dallas Stars tie a 27-year-old franchise point streak record while closing in, and they're getting closer to the Colorado Avalanche's top spot. So it sounds like, so what I put, the Stars rallied. My first point, the Stars rallied from a 2-goal deficit to beat Detroit Red Wings in a 3-2 overtime on March 14th, with Travis Harley blasting the winner 2 minutes and 6 seconds into that game, extending their point streak to 15 games, matching the 1998/1999 Cup winning team run. So who knows? Do you think that could be a neon omen for the team? Do you think that team's like, oh my gosh, we're getting close. Maybe we could do this. Not like Lady Gaga. Maybe they could do it though. So maybe they're saying, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And I mean, I don't blame them for it. I'd rather them like gas themselves up. I'd rather them feel like they can do it. Now, the older streak was 12-0-3. This one may be a little bit more dominant. They have a 10-game win streak. However, that was cut short because they lost in a shootout to the Avalanche, the team right above them. And that was on March 6th. So the core of this team, the Dallas Stars, like I said, this Central Division is deadly. There's no way that the Stanley Cup champion isn't a star, a Wild, or an Avalanche, because those teams are just way too powerful. The East just doesn't have the guns like they did last season. Just doesn't have the guns, just doesn't have the consistency like they did the last season. Wyatt Johnson, who got a goal and an assist, combined with Michael Button's goal, they stepped up so big. And you got to look at Ottinger. He's been lights out. Ottinger is keeping this team in. They have a top-tier goalie in Ottinger. And when you think about like their high danger chances, they're doing pretty good as far as leading highlights and high danger chances. So the Stars, they have the puck. You got to be scared. If the Stars are skating towards your net, I'd be terrified, because they have speed, power, and precision. Not to mention, they have 3 lines coming at you, if not almost 4. They have 3.5 lines. This team is deep. The more depth, the more opportunity you're going to have to be successful. And right now, they're at 94 points. So being at 94 points, they're just 3 points behind the Central leading division, Colorado Avalanche. That could be really exciting to see if they not only are able to catch up to them, but pass them, to see the interesting ways that, or the interesting matchups that we get come Stanley Cup playoff time. A lot of people are making comparisons to the 99 Cup winning team, and I look at this, I'm like, well, you have a lot of all-stars on this team. I think it just comes down if they all are going to be on the same page. And right now, I'm watching the Stars-Mammoth game, and this is the second fight right now. I'm watching McBain and Bichel fight. Mammoth, Stars. And this is what we need to see out of the Stars. The Stars need to show that they're tough. I think the Stars felt like they were getting shoved around in other arenas, and maybe that's because they don't have the rest in the other arenas, because every time people play in the Stars arena, The Stars get a lot of power plays. Apparently, every single time Minnesota Wild players have to go to the doctor because their spines are missing a few discs because they keep eating cross checks from star players, and the rest don't call a thing. But the second Foligno hits a player, that's a 4-minute double minor. It's just sad. It's just sad. But I think that this team, the Stars, I don't necessarily see all of the talent that was in that cup winning team from, what was it, 99 or 98? I always get it wrong, but they have a huge opportunity here. And you gotta lock in. You gotta watch this team. Now, we talked a little bit about the West. Let's talk about the East. The East wild cards, it's insane right now. They're all fighting for a spot. You have the Boston Bruins, you have the Detroit Red Wings, and they're both at 80 points. Now, right now, the Bruins are holding the spot because the Detroit Red Wings have games in hand. However, the Blue Jackets are only 1 game behind, and the Senators are 3 games behind. Where the Canadiens and the Flyers are more like 5-6 out. They got the East. Anything could happen if you go on a tear. If you just decide to play the best hockey of your career in starting today, if you win out, you win 10 games, you're in. You win 10 games, you're in. But if you go on a loss streak, even some of these teams that are already looking like they are in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you could fall out. Could easily fall out. Now, in recent weeks, we saw Columbus and Ottawa grab some massive wins, and that's keeping them alive. Now, of course, the Blue Jackets were kind of buyers at that trade deadline. They're trying to bolster their team. They're trying to support their team. They're trying to increase the talent on their team. They want to compete. The Blue Jackets want to be the Blue Jackets of 2019. They want to embarrass another team that's on a rampage. And they have that potential. They have that ability. They're extremely talented players. We just have to see if they're able to maintain that momentum. We just have to see if they're going to maintain that momentum. But as an NHL fan right now, I feel pretty blessed because they're making every game feel like a playoff game. The more intensity that we have in these standard season games, the more effort. We're getting the fights. We're getting the hits. We're getting the violence. We're getting everything that we could want from an NHL caliber hockey game. And I like it. Put this much stride into their game. You got to put a lot of stride into your game. You got to put a lot of energy into your game. And these players, they got to put some stride into their game. And you got to maintain that stride. Now, you also have to think about other teams like the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders, right? They're hovering at 81 points right now. And it looks like divisional games are 4-point swings. And it just takes one overtime loss for some of these teams to possibly fall out and let another team kind of bump them out. It's so tight right now. Every win matters. And if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins, when you have players like Crosby and Malkin out, because Malkin decides he wants to take his hockey stick and chop Rasmus Dahlin's face off. Personally, I wish he would have got suspended for 10 games because we need to get that out of the sport. We need to get that out of the sport. But that's really important. When you got your all-stars getting suspended like that for 5 games or whatnot, it's not going to help. It's not going to help. Now, there are some projections, like Montreal is at an 84%, where some are sitting at around 60 or 70%. But with 4-game weeks and for many bubble teams, and like I'm saying, with the bubble teams, with about a month left of hockey, you go on a heater, you're in. With the playoffs, right, there's 2 sides of the coin. With the playoffs, right, there's 2 sides of the coin. The first side of the coin is that, hey, you're going to have the players that are in there. Those players are going to compete for it. Yep, that's good. But then you look at the last year, right? Which teams didn't make it into the finals? Not the finals, the playoffs, right? And which of those teams that didn't make it into the playoffs, either last season, the last 9 seasons, the last 14 seasons, looking at you, the Red Wings and the Sabres, then you look at this season, you're like, okay, what are some teams that haven't been in the playoffs? The Sabres, the Red Wings, the Bruins, I think, barely missed it the other season, right? They don't want to miss the playoffs. You don't want to miss the playoffs, especially if you're some of these original 6 teams or some of these other teams where failure is not an option. It's not an option. Not at all. You have to win. And not only do you have to win, you have to at least compete. You have to at least look like the players on that ice have the chance, have the opportunity to win you hockey games, right? You have to take that into consideration. Have to take that into consideration. Now, of course, there's always drama when fans talk about the way that the league is set up in regards to, Oh, wild card spots. Oh, not wild card spots. And just like that, now all my lights are on, and I didn't know that the entire time. Now, we were just talking about the rookies. We're going to get into the rookies. We're on our fourth point. We might skip that last point for tonight. And let's kind of talk about our rookies. You got Celebrini, who the league's going to talk about this guy for the rest of his career. Celebrini's done it. Celebrini in his second season has shown the league what talent looks like. Celebrini has showed us what a player that is bright-eyed and excited to play hockey in a league that he's never played in. He's ready to show the league what he's capable of doing, and it's exactly what he's doing on this team, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. It's a beautiful thing to watch a player like he's at 90 points in 62 games. One of the fastest teams to ever do it, only behind Crosby and Gretzky. Yep, those are the names that he's being mentioned with, Crosby and Gretzky. Hi, guys. My name is Macklin Celebrini. People that compare me to Crosby and Gretzky. Oh, two players that are legitimately on the Mount Rushmore. You also got to think about Demidov. Now, Demidov, he's starting to make more clutch plays. He's starting to grow into his skates. He's getting the ice time. He's increasing his NHL IQ because there's hockey IQ, but then there's NHL IQ. So Demidov, he's getting better. He's feeling more confident. He's getting more points. So I can definitely see him getting a lot more ice time. Demidov is definitely going to be an X factor in regards to seeing if the Canadians have that extra oomph, have that extra gas to get into the playoffs. And we want to see if they're capable of doing it. We want to see if he's capable of doing it. And the Canadians, yeah, they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals about 6 years ago. He'd really like to get back there. This time, just really like to get back there with the team that they know can win. Because the last time they got back, the first time they were there, it wasn't necessarily it wasn't anything to be proud of. They made it there, but it was just a team of ragtag players that somehow beat the Golden Knights because the Golden Knights gave up. Golden Knights gave up in game 2 in that conference final. Once Fleury flubbed that puck and got megged by his own teammate, by Marchessault pretty much, that it was over. It was over. They were about to go up 2 games in the series, and then the puck went between Marc-Andre Fleury's leg, and I think it was Josh Anderson that just poked it right in to tie the game in the last minute and a half. And then the Canadians go on to score it in overtime, and it was at that point where the Vegas Golden Knights said, Marc-Andre Fleury, we don't believe in you anymore. We don't trust you with our team anymore. You are not our franchise-defining player. Get out. Get out now. Now, a player that is never, and maybe I just need to do a couple more netcasts to talk about more hockey. Lafreniere, Rangers, first overall pick 2020. He's had a 5-goal explosion in the past 4 games, including a hat trick. Give him more playtime. Give him the spotlight. Just give Lafreniere the spotlight. It's all we want. Give him the spotlight. It's all I'm asking. Just do it like that. Please. Please just do it like that. Then we can all be happy. Leo Carlsson on the Ducks. Other flashes. You got Leo Carlsson on the Ducks. Mighty Ducks, that is. He has had a few 3-point nights, and Capo Caco, I think he is on the Kraken right now. He's got some multi-points. So you got some younger players that are doing okay. Might not necessarily be the face of the franchise just yet. I think Carlson has a better chance with the Mighty Ducks than Capo Caco does with the Kraken, but Carlson is definitely a player to watch if you're watching the Ducks. If you're watching the Ducks. So at this point, we're going to skip our 5th point because I've been going for about 40 minutes almost. And I wanted to thank all of you for tuning into this netcast, watching this, and for talking some hockey with me tonight. I had a great time. I wanted to thank every single one of you for watching the netcast. And please, in the comments below, let's talk some hockey. What do you think about the playoffs? Is there an opinion that I brought up that you think is a crazy take? Is there an opinion that I brought up that you agree with? Let me know about your own opinions. Let me know about your own bracket. Maybe we do a WeCake'n bracket challenge. Maybe the winner gets a pack. Maybe the winner gets some hockey cards. Maybe we do something like that. Nonetheless, all right, everybody. I am WeCake'n. This is another WeCake'n netcast. Thank you so much for coming in tonight and listening to my netcast, watching my netcast. I had a great time. Please come back. I am WeCake'n. This is another Netcast where we discuss the push to the playoffs and a little bit of star power around the league. Thank you for watching. Have a great night, everyone. I'll see you at the next Netcast.